right, good afternoon, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to bring two very distinguished leaders from the industry to talk about my favorite topic, sovereign AI. And it is, in my mind, as the title says, a sovereign AI imperative, in a sense that these leaders will help us walk through what it means to create strategic autonomy. And I want to quickly introduce Sunil Gupta here, who is the co-founder, the CEO and MD of Yotta, and Shilpa Kolhatkar, who is the Senior Director of Global AI Nations at NVIDIA. So welcome, Sunil. Welcome, Shilpa.
Thank you.
I'll start this off with Sunil. Sunil, in your own terms, can you help us define what is sovereign AI and what are the 2 or 3 main essentials that are required in building sovereign AI?
Thanks, Prem. I think the definition of sovereignty has changed over a period of time, driven by the needs for complete inward looking and nations saying we will do everything ourselves, to practicality as to what you can do and what you cannot do in across the whole stack of AI. Because certain things, not most of the nations can do, like manufacturing of chips or designing of chips, for example, right? So the practical definition of sovereignty is that the control over the infrastructure, the compute infrastructure, control over the data, and the control over the applicability of AI, that for you as a country, what is important, what use cases you want to develop, which are making the mass impact on your citizens. You are able to define your destiny and not by the choices of others. While you are doing this, that does not mean that you are trying to do everything within your country. You have productive, collaborative relationships with technology providers, but making sure you are not dependent on a single company or a single country, right? You are able to make your own controls and own choices. That is important. So we are in India, like creating a sovereign cloud GPU infrastructure. We partnered with NVIDIA, we partnered with Microsoft, we partnered with AWS, we partnered with startups who are in the valley, who are developing some orchestration layers for us. But what we are making sure that we are using all these technologies within our own data centers, the complete control on the data and also the root access to the whole cloud infrastructure is with us. And we are making these available to the government of India through a project in government, which government of India has made, called India AI Mission. So I'm giving my GPUs on a cloud model to government. Government actually pays me my bills for GPUs, and then they are giving these GPUs to startups and research institutions in India, who in turn are using these GPUs for building India-specific models and use cases. So it is government funded, so people are not scared of putting their own money and, let's say, having a risk whether it will be successful or not. So government is intervening not only as a regulator but also as a facilitator or as a person who is giving the funds. But that's how as I said, that it is very important that you keep the control over the stack, but you have very good productive relationship with all the technology providers across board. Yeah.
Excellent. And so that's a very beautiful level setter for the conversation. You touched upon various topics as well while defining sovereign AI, whether it's the ecosystem, the underpinning technology, etc. So I want to turn this to Shilpa. Shilpa, help us understand what are the key success factors. How would you measure success for sovereign AI? Specifically as a project? Is it economic effectiveness? Is it how enterprises are driving value? In your experience, please share.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that definition of sovereignty, Sunil. It's about control what's important, what matters, and collaborate and leverage what has been proven already. So to answer your question around how do you measure this, right? It is about measuring sovereignty is about how strong has the nation, the political will to go and start building out the sovereign infrastructure, the stuff which is critical infrastructure now, just like your power grids. How good the country has been in terms of doing that. On top of that, also elements like having the right combination of ecosystem, model builders, who can build models in the language and culture and nuances that are specific to that nation, and a set of application builders who then eventually start building applications which can be adopted into the industries and into government. And so I think there are various KPIs, in terms of measuring success. Of course, its adoption is one thing, but there's also that ecosystem, and are there enough developers, and are there enough researchers, and are there enough startups, and is the government backing those up? So it's truly a measurement of how well is that partnership between government, industry, and academia coming together.
Absolutely. And you touched upon the success factors. Sunil, you touched upon a definition. Turning this back to you, Sunil, I want to find out what were the success cases that you had seen, examples of success, where the Yotta Sovereign AI project has already started showing impact in India. Some examples of that.
Yeah, sure. I remember way back in 23, obviously ChatGPT was on a global scene, and there was a narrative across the world, including in India, that, and in India specifically, that you are a software and services leader for 3 decades, you are exporting tech, and that's what India is known for. But India was nowhere on the scene on AI. And this was a discussion in the government circle, industry circle, that what it is which India lacks to become an AI leader. And the same factors, as Shilpa said, that India has skill sets, India has startup ecosystem, and Indians carry almost like 1 billion smartphones. So we are also the biggest data producer and data consumer also. So data sets is not an issue. What India lacks is the compute. So unless and until you have got a bulk compute available, both for training your own models in your own data sets for your own use cases, and also when those use cases become available to masses at population scale, you'll be needing equally or higher number of GPUs even for inferencing. So unless you have bulk compute in India, this will not be successful. That is where we had taken, I would say today I can call it speculative bet. Sometimes you say the market has demand and then you make the supply available. But sometimes the demand is not visible, it's below the carpet. It's a latent demand, so you have to make the supply available and the demand become visible. That's the bet on the macro factors we had taken. So I can say today, in the last 2 years, the scenario in India has changed completely. Anybody who was in the AI Impact Summit just 2 weeks back in India, they can see, how this ecosystem has got evolved. Government actually took a hugely great initiative of India AI Mission. As I said, that government created this project where they motivated people like us that you build data centers, you bring in power, you bring in fiber, you put in cloud, you put money into GPUs. Because you are private sector, you can do it better, and you can collaborate with people like NVIDIA. And but government will take it on a cloud model from us. And those GPUs, which government is paying money to me for, they will give it to startups and ask those startups to build models which will be open sourced, will be made available to all the startups in the country. And these models are the ones which make the maximum impact in cases like agriculture or healthcare or education or climate or things which can make the maximum impact on masses. So today we see, many models have got built in India. You have got startups like Sarvam, IIT Bombay, BharatGen, Gyani, GAN. There are many startups who have built great models in India. Some of them have beaten some of the global benchmarks, on various parameters. And now, of course, government is also funding the inferencing phase of those models as well, so that the masses start adopting, the use cases of these models. So it is still a work in progress, but I would say lots of work has been done. It's a great progress. Yeah.
Thank you, Sunil. So, Shilpa, over to you. I want you to take these examples that Sunil said, abstract them out, and a two-part question for you. If you can tell us some examples from across the globe where you are seeing sovereign AI success, and then tie it back to the initial point that Sunil was making, which is it is the ecosystem that drives the success. It's the collaboration that drives the success. So those two parts, examples from across the globe, and how NVIDIA is helping build that ecosystem.
Yeah, first of all, I have to congratulate Sunil and Yotta for doing such an exemplar job with the democratization of AI in India. And right now, my mind is exploding with the success stories from India, especially with like 22 official languages and the translation services that the government is providing on top of the Yotta platform, so that, you know, a common man can seamlessly go about their, you know, whatever they're doing, finding the best place in Kumbh Mela, you know, where do I find the best place to stay or to find food? It's really simplifying the lives of people. So thank you for that, Sunil. On the global stage, there are examples where AI is being adopted into industry as well as government. So France is another example where Mistral is the large language model, and it's basically being used by the government to modernize the public administration. So a lot of the systems, such as the ERP system, is going to be powered by Mistral. Similarly, you know, SAP and Mistral are coming together to do something similar for France and Germany. There's a lot of different pockets that we are starting to see these examples take place in terms of citizen services or a tourism chatbot in Thailand. So it really depends on what is the biggest industry, economy, value for that nation, which is where the largest you know, companies and governments are trying to tackle those problems through AI to get the most bang for the buck.
Excellent. So I want to, you know, talk about a slightly different gear on this. So far, we've only heard positives about sovereign AI. You guys have spoken about technology, ecosystem, like it's all going to work out beautifully. But it almost never does, in a sense that there are roadblocks to making sovereign AI successful. So if you could spend a minute each, and then we will go to the final question. If you could spend a minute each on telling us the potential roadblocks that you know, projects in sovereign AI will face. Sunil, we'll start with you.
I think there are roadblocks all the way. Do you have the right data center infrastructure? Because the GPUs cannot run in a data center which was typically built for a CPU workload. So can you retrofit your existing data center investments, or do you need to do ground up? The opportunity is today. So you have to use the data center which is already built, because if you start building now new, it will be taking, let's say, 1.5 years, 2 years. Do you have all the skill sets across board at the data center layer, because that itself is a different engineering? Do you have the right data sets? Do you have the skill sets to build models grounds up? Or for that matter, do you have the use cases? Even if you have the use cases, are people aware that these are their use cases? Most of the time, enterprises talk about AI, they know they have data, but they don't know what to use it for. So are you even aware about what the use cases are? And one thing which we have seen as an operator, that even while you are having all the right supply ingredients like data centers, power, ability to run clouds, you are able to mobilize capital also. But unless and until there is sufficient demand, your business case will not be successful. And that is where I was highlighting the example for sovereign AI, how governments of the countries have to take the step forward, that they cannot just say we are only regulator. They have to give that initial, what you can call it, seed money, that till the time people are comfortable putting in serious money on AI, or some use cases become very successful where population scale adoption is there, so people start paying per transaction or some monthly subscription money. Till that time, to make the critical mass in the country, the government has to put in the money, has to pay so that we can invest into GPU. So a combination of government taking all the right steps, if that is not the case, that becomes a constraint. enough skill set and talent to actually commit itself to build models for the country. That itself is there, great. If it's not there, it becomes a constraint. And then the widespread adoption, like in India, UPI is given an example that the whole country, makes payments. Every 2 minutes, we are making some few cents of payment on our mobiles. It's so widely successful. But can we have similar UPI moments in some AI-driven use cases also? So I think it is a matter of the whole ecosystem start delivering. Everybody has to keep on taking incremental steps. It will not happen in one day. But some tipping point, I think, comes when suddenly the use cases start becoming successful. So the idea is also to be patient, not to expect quick wins, and keep on working towards that.
Yeah, I think you covered that very well, Sunil. I think, AI is definitely not a single player space, right? It's basically, if you've seen Jensen's 5-layer cake, AI is a 5-layer cake. It starts at the availability of energy. That is today the biggest constraint, I would say. Some nations have really got a well thought out plan in terms of how they're looking to plan the energy availability. Japan is one of them. METI has actually published their plan. It's the ecosystem. It's the whole, availability of data and the political will. So I think, yeah, those are the biggest hurdles, and having anchor off-takers or having that anchor use case, having that anchor workload which will consume those AI data centers is extremely important. So yes, it's a journey, and we are at the beginning stages of it, I believe, but we are super excited to be on this journey.
Thanks, Shilpa. So one last question for both of you. We'll start with you, Shilpa. What's the key takeaway or takeaways you would have for our audience who are either NCPs that are starting out on sovereign AI projects, or are from the government space that are looking to invest in sovereign AI projects? What are your key takeaways for this audience?
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate what Jensen highlighted in the keynote earlier today, is that AI factories are essentially going to be producing intelligence just the way power plants are generating electricity today, okay? So it is the right time, and there is urgency for governments to realize this, to invest, to make the right partnerships with private sector, and an opportunity for the complete ecosystem to capture this opportunity. So it's researchers, developers, startups. That's your ecosystem of AI builders, because essentially the success lies in a country becoming an AI maker, not just an AI taker. Everybody's an AI taker today. We all are users. The question now is, are you also going to become a maker of AI?
Yeah, I think fundamentally it boils down to that, first of all, country as a whole ecosystem, be it government, be it industry, be it service providers, customers, academia, startups, students. Everybody is very much aligned that yes, AI is here to stay. It is no more a hype. First of all, that fundamental thing that AI is not a hype, it is here to stay. It's impacting lives, right, across various verticals of industry, your personal life, everything is impacted. Once you have that conviction, AI is here to stay and it's going to be good for our country, then many of the things start, because then you are not doubting yourself. And once that is the case, then somewhere, instead of waiting for the demand to come, you have to have a speculative faith and make the investment. As I said, we were not waiting for a demand to come from the industry to start adopting AI use cases before making the supply available. That belief in the underlying macros are there, that's why we invested, right? And once we took the step and supply became available, suddenly the demand started cropping up because the compute became available. The government also immediately started making policies that, oh, compute is available, startups are willing to build models, so let us start also putting policies and start funding it also. So the whole cycle started. Somewhere, government, industry, service providers, they have to take the first, starting point, and then the whole cycle will start. That conviction has to be there, that if we invest, there is a big industry, there is a big revolution, results will come, but somebody has to trigger the cycle.
Thank you so much, Sunil. Thank you, Shilpa. You know, personally, I don't think that sovereign AI is a topic that can be justifiably explained in 20 minutes, but you guys have done an absolutely beautiful job. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.